Hello and welcome to another exciting Breakfast with Unity. So, what are we doing today? So, last time, this is going to be a little bit of a continuation for our zero-G stuff. We got a very basic zero-G movement system. It works entirely by adding forces, and we work in a zero-G environment. So, if you start moving in a direction, you will continue moving that direction forever. We didn't explicitly cap any of the motion, so you can probably get going quite fast. We didn't fully test how fast we could get going, but we can get to the point where our particle system can't really keep up with us anymore. Um, and yeah, so it's cool. We probably do have some max speeds. I do want to note that in the physics settings, typically there is a max angular velocity here, and I guess there's not a max velocity. That's interesting. Yeah, so we can't spin as fast as we want to. As a matter of fact, I think this is as fast as we can spin, which is actually probably a good thing because we don't want the player to be completely disoriented. But if we wanted to make it a little bit more realistic, we could just, make the max angular velocity something ridiculous like 700 and very quickly watch us spin into oblivion. Get to the point where it starts looking like we're moving slower than we actually are. There we go. Yeah. So we're spinning, but it doesn't look like it. Have you ever seen those videos of GoPros being dropped from planes? I just love that they actually do end up spinning sometimes that fast. So if you want it to be more realistic, you can actually increase that velocity. I am actually going to change it to 15 at least, but we don't have to go crazy. So that's as fast as we can rotate. That's more than the player's going to want to do anyway. Um, so what are we going to do? So I want to add a break button. I want to add a button that basically allows us to stop where we are about, and the game will automatically try and bring us to that position. And we already have the tools that we need for this, honestly. We're going to be doing this in what I call designer style, quote unquote, as opposed to scripter style, where we are going to do a little bit of scripting, but we're going to rely on scripts that we already have and use them as Lego blocks and show again why being more generic with a script is more useful. So we have these two things that basically can align us to a position, right? We've got, where are they? In self-reconstructing, it's not in self-reconstructing. Happened before that. We use, okay, physics follower. We got follow rotation physics and follow position physics. And these will allow us to get to a position of a existing game object. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create I'm going to create a child object here. It doesn't have to be a child, but I'm going to just so that it can self-reference. So if we need to instantiate this, it can handle all the scripts normally. And then also so it stays organized. So if we had more stuff in the scene, we'd be able to notice, we'd be able to use this easier. I'm not making any sense. I'm just going to do it. So we're going to just add a empty child, and we're going to call this thing stop goal is what we're going to call it. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the follow position physics and follow rotation physics on our main camera, and we're going to plug in stop goal to both of these. Now, this won't be particularly useful for us, because what's going to happen is when we start the game, we're not going to be able to move as well, if at all. We can now we're using physics, but we're immediately getting pulled to stop, and we don't have the ability to go very fast anymore because basically forces are being pushed on our player to put it back into the stop goal, which happens to be inside of us, so it just tries to stop us. So this is one way we could apply drag. We could also just do rigid body stuff to actually affect like drag and angular drag, so that eventually you'll slow down. As a matter of fact, we should technically have angular drag at 0 if we want to make it more like real space. So what are we doing? So we don't want this on all the time, and we can do that. So let's create a script. I'm going to create let's just create the script. I'm not going to worry about making the folders right now. And let's call this activate components on button. And what this is going to do is we're going to have it take a public component Now, I notice I used component. I didn't use mono behavior. The reason I did component is this will make it so that it'll work for any mono behavior and then also any built-in components like rigid body. So public component, and it's going to be an array called component to activate, and public string button. I'm going to just default this to fire1 as a useful default. So we're going to save this. And all we're going to do is, in the update here, if button, if input.get button, and we're just going to do get button. So if it's held at any point, we'll do this. Button, just button. I guess I could have called it button name to be more consistent, and because it's a string, yeah, I'm going to do it. Button name. I don't know where it found button name before in that list. That was weird. So if get button name, then we are going to, for each component, I'm just going to call it com in to activate, com.active, enabled. Oh wait, maybe that's not at this level. I swear there was a, I swear that this was where it was at. Okay, maybe we don't have to, maybe we have to use mono behavior. So let's try for each mono behavior, let's do com.enabled. Okay, that's there. I swore that that was from com.enabled equals true. I swore that was from something else. Oh. And then for now, what we're going to do is actually let's have a little boolean here so that we don't have to do this every frame. Private bool in component active equals false. Else if components active equals true. I'm going to just do components active equals true. So else if component components actives equals true rather. Then we are going to set, we're going to basically do this whole thing here again. And we don't need this actually in the loop. Same deal here. So if the button's not down and components are active, then we turn them all off. This is just so that we're not turning them off every frame that we're not using them. So now, if we put this onto our camera, we can now add components here. And what we can do is we can literally just drag these into this list. So we can do follow rotation physics, and follow position physics, put it in here. And we're going to start with them off. So if we hit play, so now we have full motion. We hit control, it stops us, and it writes our motion. Huh, wow, that worked out really nicely. I was expecting to have to write another script actually for this because I thought we were going to have to reset the position of our stop goal, but I didn't realize we could actually just kind of use this as an instant braking system. Cool. So that was easy. And we still have like 5 minutes left. What should we do as bonus time? Let's see. This is going to be a really useful script for us, I think. I want to see, I swore that component had enabled. Component. Here, actually, I'm going to try something. I'm going to see, keep it as mono behavior. And I want to see if we can drag in, say, an audio listener. Let's see if an audio listener counts. Yeah, it won't go in there. If I explicitly make this bigger and try to slide it in, does it work? Nope, does not. Interesting. So, So let's try component again. And let's just pretend that it's in there. Component and component. Save. Play. Yeah, it doesn't have enabled. Huh. I wonder what they use internally for that. Com dot. I really thought this was in there. So what about rigid body? Rigid body dot enabled. Is that a thing? Dot enabled? No. Has a check mark. No, it doesn't. Rigid bodies don't have the ability to be disabled. How about audio does? Audio dot enabled. So that's in there. But if I was to have an audio source, does it count as a component? Let's see. Game object. This is how I learn things, by the way. And you can too. You can learn through experimentation. It's also great to find resources and stuff online. I'm not saying that I don't research as well, but never underestimate the amount that you can learn from trial and error, especially considering you can learn things that no one else knows, or few people do, or people who don't talk about it know. Those type of things. So if we add audio source to our thing here, that's not what I wanted. I just wanted to add an audio source component. Component audio source. So audio source definitely has a disabled type thing. Does this count as a component? No, it doesn't. But it has enabled. So do they just internally, like this is obviously component. Do they internally just add enabled at a higher state than that? That's weird. I mean, they certainly could. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. It's just... Let's see in the documentation, because as I said, documentation is good too. So, Unity component. Functions. Yeah, it doesn't have enabled in here. Huh, weird. Huh, oh well. Cool. Well, I'm just going to switch this back to mono behavior. So I don't know how you would set this up if you wanted to. I guess you'd have to have a separate version of this script for certain special, like audio listeners and audio sources and the like. That's annoying. I guess you could do a little bit of a Hackney approach. You could use like... how could I do that? If I wanted to make something that was generic enough to work on anything, I guess you can get components by like... How can we get components? So we do get component. We have ones that use a system type. I wonder if that's a doable thing. Let's just do this as one more quick little experiment. Public system type. What is this thing called? Once what was I just doing? Oh yeah, get components in children. I'm not sure if any of this is going to work. System.type t. All right, so system.type public system.type type. Curious if this will even show up in the editor. I have a feeling it won't, but if it does, that'd be cool. So, did it compile? It did, yeah, it didn't show up in the editor, so it's not serializable for whatever reason. Yeah, that makes sense. Just figured I'd try. Alright, well, this will work for any of your scripts at the very least, so that's cool. And so I should actually rename this to activate mono behavior on button. And we'll save that and rename it here and just make sure everything still works, and then we'll call it a day. I was actually expecting this to take considerably longer, as you can tell. So save project, hit play. That's cool that works. We could have also written a script separately that, just slowed down our rigid body velocity and stuff, but we already had something that worked. And as I said, this is the designer solution style that we were going for today. So, folder, we're going to call this 150G assist. We're going to throw activate mono behavior on button, and I'm going to save this scene as a new one. 0G assist and 0G assist save. I won't change save these changes so that people can see the progress we've made. All right, save project, save settings, quit, and yeah. Thank you for joining me this morning. If you have any questions, please email me, pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Drakfyre, that's DRAKFYRE. Donate to the show through Patreon, that we'd really appreciate it. And we'll catch you tonight with an episode of Fight Go Right on 2D Thursday. Watch it. Have a good one, and I'll see you tonight.